What up, my love? So this is the rambling of a mambo. Good to see you here. Let me talk to you for a little bit. Let me move up. All right. So I was talking to a friend, and she made this comment about I want to put myself out there more, but I'm afraid of what people will say. Will they accept me? Maybe I'm not the right color. Maybe I'm not the right ethnicity. Maybe I'm not the right whatever. And I'm worried what people are going to say. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I just don't want to be called out. And I was thinking, okay, that's crazy. But I get it because she's like, I'm looking at the community and I see all this drama and everything like that. And I'm like, well, hold up, hold up, hold up. First of all, your spiritual journey is a personal journey. Has nothing to do with everything that's going on in the community. That's a whole separate thing, you guys. So I want to talk about that a little bit because I feel like people they're tending to get intimidated by people in the community because they're like, well, I should be on this level or this is expected of me or, you know, I don't want to be put in a position where I'm having to defend who I am. And I'm like, okay, here's the thing. We have issues where a lot of people talk about appropriation. Appropriation is taking something from a culture and using it as yours. A lot of times we see this with smudging. Um, we got everybody, and look, we got everybody and their grandma smudging. And I think it was at the beginning of the year, I had a friend that sat me down and he said, there's a whole ritual behind this. You're doing it wrong and it's not the right way to do it. And I was like, okay, explain, tell me. And he did. He broke it down. We had a discussion about it. It wasn't anything that was long and drawn out, but he was basically saying that if you're going to do this, you need to learn how to do it the right way and be respectful. I think anytime that you're coming in to any type of practice, tradition, um, there is the proper way of connecting with that tradition where you always want to be respectful. You don't want to put yourself out there and do something that you really can't do or you shouldn't be doing. Now, a lot of times we're human. We don't understand that. So I think we have to understand that for the people out there that may feel some kind of way about it, you're going to also get a group of people that are like my friend and says, you know what, come here, let me talk to you about it. You know, let me whisper in your ear and tell you what you're doing wrong and why it's wrong. And then after that, we had that conversation. I was like, okay, I 100% get it. And I won't do it again. Not that way. You'll show me the proper way. And that's if that person wants to show you the proper way because certain traditions are, just for people that, if we have indigenous people that practice it, then they don't want to share that. And you got to respect that. So I was telling my friend, the one that was complaining that maybe she wouldn't be accepted, your journey is personal, but as long as you're not appropriating or stepping on somebody's toes for your practice, then you're moving in a direction that spirit is allowing you to go in because they're opening doors, they're showing you a certain way. We have to understand that when you're dealing with spirituality, the connection is to spirit. That is the whole purpose of it, is that I want to be more enlightened. I want to see things more clearly. And when you deal with spirit, there's always this evolution of moving to that next level, opening yourself up. So there's growth. We learn. We learn as we go. We learn that maybe things that we're doing are not the proper things to do, so we don't do them anymore because we have learned. Spirit brought somebody in. And I think it's always how the person approaches you that makes it more comfortable for you to learn through them. Now, when you look at the community, and I don't really get a lot of drama in it because I don't connect with it. Maybe I'm not friends with the people, or I don't see it, or I don't know. It could be just blocked off from me from spirit. The way I look at it is that as long as I'm respectful towards the people that I deal with, as long as I am respectful towards my spirits, and the connection is there, I'm going to move forward. So I think we have to be really honest about what your intention is when you come into a certain spirituality where you're like, I want to open this up. Why? Why do you want to open it up? Where are you planning on going? I mean, for some people, it could be as simple as I just want to be peaceful. For some, it could be that, I want to be able to have some type of power. For some, it's literally, I just want to open up my third eye so I can do readings. Whatever your goal is, you have to set that goal. And it's an individual thing. Not every practice is going to be the same because every journey will not be the same. What I want to do and where I'm going, the direction I'm going, may not even connect to you. You may have no interest in it at all. I think a lot of people get religion and spirituality confused. Religion has structure. When I was a practicing Catholic, I had my first communion, I had my confirmation, I went to confession. That was the structure of the religion. In voodoo, there's certain prayers and certain things that are done. Reglement is things that are structured for us that have been done before. So it's a tradition. We do it over and over again. When I come into my spiritual side, and I'm like, when I was in between Catholicism and the voodoo, it was one of those things of, oh, I could try this, I could do this, I can go in this direction because I literally was growing, which means that I was making bad decisions, I was making good decisions, but I was having lessons that I would learn from because that's what the purpose was. You're living your life, you're evolving, you're growing, you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn from them. And that opens you up, gives you more clarity, lets you see things a lot more differently. But it's because it is a connection with spirit that makes it individual. Spirit doesn't talk to me the same way that they talk to you. I have sisters that be like, oh, I connect with the Loa this way. Oh, they don't connect with me that way. And I can't sit up here and dwell on why they don't because I do get connections with them, but it's completely different. So I appreciate it and I move on. Doesn't make it right or wrong. Doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong, they're doing something right, or vice versa. It's just that spirit is addressing us differently. So I think when we get caught up on what we think um, our growth is supposed to be, or how we feel like spirit is supposed to connect with us, that's where it kind of gets confusing. Because trust me, it's gonna be completely different. You can get 15 people in a room, and I've seen this even in churches where you have people that will listen to a scripture, and you can go out and have brunch with them, and you might have 5 or 6 people that heard scripture completely different than what you heard or what you got out of it. So I will say be patient with yourself. Don't allow yourself to be intimidated by people because you feel like, oh, that's wrong, that's not right. I think as long as you're not appropriating or you're not going across boundaries when it comes to people's traditions and being disrespectful, and you're growing spiritually, you're going to have your ancestors, you're going to have your spirits that are going to give you guidance. They're going to help you navigate certain things. Will you have moments where you hit brick walls? Yes, that's part of your lesson. That's part of your learning. But don't sit up here and think that you have to do things a certain way to grow. We're living life. We're living life and we're all looking at it completely differently. So I feel like when people hold themselves back and they say, well, I want to do this, but I'm scared because I don't want to be blasted out or intimidated, it may be because you're not absolutely comfortable with your path, which means that maybe it goes against your religion, maybe it goes against, your family belief, maybe you're triggered by something. The fear of being rejected or chastised is I get it, is there, but the connection is not with people in the community. You can network with people in a community, you can go to classes with people in the community, you can follow people in the community, but the connection that you want is with spirit. It's a very private thing. It really is. I think a lot of times we get caught up in following people because of titles or status, and we feel like these people are the supreme gods or you know it all, you've gone through this. And I'll be the first one to admit I know shit. I don't know shit. It's one of those things where some days I wake up and I'm like, okay, spirit, really? What? Should I be on this level? Am I behind on this? And then I have to kind of come back down to it and go, you know what? Trust the journey. Trust the journey. And I think sometimes we tend to idolize people because of what we see. but you don't see the struggles that these people went through. You don't see the things that maybe trigger them. You don't see the rejection or the vulnerability that maybe they dealt with. So I feel like when you're afraid of that, you have to be realistic and go, they're human. 9 out of 10, they went through the same thing that I'm going through now. Maybe they're just in a place where it doesn't show. Maybe they're more confident. Maybe they're more connected with their spirit. That is something that they don't even, you know, dwell on anymore. But don't allow your perception of somebody to say, oh, they're higher than you and they know more than you, because we're all works in progress. If you really are connected to spirit, you realize that you never, ever stop learning. You don't. There's days where spirit will show me things and I'm just blown away and I'm like, whoa, didn't even know that. Certain things, and I'm 52. There's things that I'm learning now that I'm like, wow, I should have knew this when I was 20, but maybe it wasn't the right time, or maybe I wasn't going to connect with it. But it didn't mean that my practice or the direction I was going was wrong. Maybe spirit needed me to get to a certain place before I could really, grasp it and connect with it on a level that would help me grow a little bit more. Don't feel like you need to be the collective with people. Just you don't have to. Even if you're in a group or a societe or a house or whatever, you don't have to be like everybody in um that community. You're individual. You really are. And I think a lot of times, sometimes with that path of looking to belong, we emulate and we feel like we all have to move together. No. How do you grow from that? How do you grow from that? There's certain mambos that I follow that I am nowhere on their level. And I love that because that gives me the opportunity to learn. Like, oh, wow, I can aspire to reach that level. And then when they're doing things and they're talking about, well, I don't know it all either, I'm like, well, shit. That means that they're going to elevate more too. And that's exciting to me because it's giving me, it's showing me a little bit of the path that I can walk. But when you're dealing with spirit, you're limitless. You're not in a box. So don't let people put you in the box. You know, I think somebody was talking earlier this week, and I think it had to do with Mama Star about, the Bible and conjure to use the Bible, not to use the Bible, whatever. That's an individual thing, right? Some people are definitely going to gravitate towards it and some will not. When I was growing up, my grandmother had a Bible. And what she would do, she had pictures in certain pages, and then some pages would have notes, and then she'd have recipes and all kind of little slips of paper in the Bible. When I was younger, I didn't understand the connection. But as I get older, I'm like, okay, were the pictures on that scripture because it was pertaining to something that this person needed? Was there a work that was going on? Or was this a recipe that was for a spiritual bath? Or what the connection was? And I can appreciate that was part of her growth. Do I use the Bible the same way? No, I don't. But it doesn't mean that I cannot understand somebody who does. I think we have to understand that practices are personal. They really are. You get to choose what you connect to. Maybe that is one of the things that you want to follow. I come from the South. I mean, and I have an Ugandan brother who can pray the skin off of somebody, and it makes him powerful. But literally, you can work without it. You can work with it. If you're a conjurer, you can conjure, right? I think when we start feeling like we got to fit into this box and we have to be a certain way, that's where things kind of get a little bit confusing for us because it's like, okay, I don't fit into the box. And then does that mean I don't belong to the group? Don't feel like you need to belong to the group. Sometimes spiritual growth is about becoming more authentic, becoming more comfortable with who you are, whatever way that is. I have friends that summon and conjure demons. They eat people. I have friends that are love and light, namaste, kumbaya. I have friends that, they go outside under the full moon and have these wild ass orgies. And I'm like, okay, may not be my thing. But one thing that I will say is that I can look at all of them without judgment and go, you know what, do your thing. That's your path, that's your growth. And I think I can support it respectively. without feeling like I have to be against it or make them feel bad about it. No, that's not a part of the person or the direction that I want to go into. I think I've come from a place where there was judgments early on in my life to a place where I was like, Spirit, take that away from me because I felt like it was hindering me. Don't let me stay in this this mindset where if they're not doing it my way, it's not right, because I can't be a control freak. I know that about myself, and I know I've struggled with that. So I finally come to a place in my life with my spiritual growth where I'm like, you know what, if it makes them happy and it works for them and they're not killing nobody, well, I mean, even if they are killing somebody, that's their journey. But if it doesn't really connect with me, I could say, you know what, go ahead on and keep going about my way. What is that, staying in my lane? I feel like if you're gonna let people perception um, take you off your path, then it's not really about the people in the community and what they're saying. It really is your commitment to the direction that you're going in, or your commitment to whatever you're trying to connect with, whether this is a religion or a spirituality. At some point you have to be accountable to think for yourself and say, you know what, I agree or I disagree, and be okay with that, and know that it will not affect your path. If you're sitting up there and you're intimidated because you don't want to put things out there, um, you got to ask yourself why. Here's the thing: as people come to me as a mentor, I very clearly understand what my purpose is. If Spirit says you're there to guide them, then I do the best that I can. If I don't understand or I don't know, then I'm like, okay, you know what? We have reached my limit, and I'm going to go ahead and send you on to somebody else because your development or your growth is important to me, which means that you've gone as far on your journey with me as you can, and now I'm going to give you off to somebody else and let that go. I'm not going to speak negatively of you. I'm not going to put you down. I'm just going to say, you know what? We've come to the place where we're at the fork in the road, and now it's time, my child, for you to go that other direction because that's the right thing for you. If you connect with spiritual leaders and mentors that do not help you progress or grow, you have to look at that a little bit more closely. Um, if you're connecting with people that you feel like they're thinking for you or you can't make a move without them, you have to look at that more closely because you're an adult who should be able to think and make moves the way you want to. Your connection with spirit at some point is like, okay, we want to do this. And now if you got somebody saying, no, you can't do that, that's not right, then you're being limited, you're being held back. Now, let's be clear about somebody who's holding you back versus somebody who maybe is trying to teach you. I feel like when you have somebody who's trying to teach you, there's an explanation on why. Like, I have a friend that talked to me about smudging. He was like, okay, you are not smudging right, and it's because it's not your culture. And I was like, okay, let's talk about it. He took the time out to say, this is what you do, this is why you do it, and this is why you should not do this. And I was like, okay, I get that. I didn't feel um, that he was putting me down. I don't really feel like he was judging me. I feel like that he was trying to teach me. Now, versus someone who comes in and they see me smudging and they attack me and they're like, you know what, you shouldn't do that. You're taking somebody, you're appropriating. That's not the right thing to do. You're going to burn in hell because of that. Everybody's going to be against you. And then all of a sudden, I'm fearful. I've seen this both ways. And I think the whole thing about it is that more people grow when people take the time out to teach them, to tell them why they're not doing things the right way. It doesn't mean that you're not going on the right path. It may mean that you need more connection. Maybe you do need to connect with a shaman to learn properly, if that's a part of your ancestry. Kind of goes back to where people are like, well, that's not my ancestry or that's not your ancestry. You don't really know until you look deeper into that, because a lot of times people that think that it doesn't connect to them will realize that spirit calls them because it does connect to you, even if other people can't see it. So a lot of people, they're like, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that. If spirit calls you and they're like, let's walk that path, there's a reason why they call you. Now, if you're doing something that you feel uncertain about and you feel like you need to have a discussion with somebody else with your path or your growth, then yeah, do that. Because if you're moving forward, you want to know the proper way to do it, right? You want to make that connection. But if you feel like people are literally judging and putting you down, then you have to kind of see, is this something that I want to be connected to? Because there's a way to help someone and there's a way not to help someone. You understand what I'm saying? I think for my friend, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna look at this because I told you I was gonna put it up here. If spirit calls you to walk a certain path, then that path is open for you. It is, regardless of what other people think. If you feel like you're uncertain about that path, then that is the right time to connect with a mentor, connect with somebody who walks that path who can say, okay, this is the proper way to do it. This is acceptable because this person is helping you move forward. I think for a lot of people, if you're intimidated, and we've all started, we've all been at the beginning. We've all had these moments where it's like, okay, I want to try this, but I don't know if I should. I think sometimes it really is spending time with spirit, your ancestors, and having these conversations where it's like, you know what, I'm going to give you some time every week so that we can talk about this so you can help me with guidance on this. I did that when I went to Haiti. You know, I didn't want to listen to other people say this was right or this was wrong for you. I wanted to see what my ancestors and what spirit had for me. Talk to me. Let me know what path that I'm going on. Nothing else mattered at that point. It was between me and spirit. Now, I will say there were moments where I got just terrified. I got confused. Um, I was just like, am I hearing the messages right? And I had to go to people and go, okay, you know what? Help me with that. But when the clarity came through, I 100% knew what direction I was going in. And it was because of spirit. They talked to me. Didn't get it off of Facebook, didn't get it off of IG, didn't get it off of YouTube or TikTok or whatever. I literally listened to spirit with guidance. I think a lot of times we put ourselves in boxes because we allow other people to. And it's because we're not listening to spirit. We're disconnected. Whatever your growth is, whatever your path is, it's always going to come from that connection with your ancestors, with your spirits that walk with you. They have your best interest at heart. Not everybody in the physical will. So be really cautious about what you allow to, what you absorb on your journey. Don't think that it has to make sense because everybody's doing it. Maybe that's part of the reason why spirit is taking you in that direction because not everybody's doing it. Maybe you're here to do something different. Be something different. Don't put yourself in a box. It kind of comes back down to a conversation that I had with my papa one time, and I think I was asking him about a law, and I was like, well, can this law do this, or do they only work with this particular thing? And he always says they can do anything. Don't put them in the box. They can do anything. And when I fully understood that, then it kind of helped me open up more and say, okay, well, then let's just walk. Let's just walk the path and see what happens, see what opens up for me. Because at the end of the day, the connection with them was what was important. The messages from them are what's important. The guidance that they give to me at this point are important. The drama and everything else that goes on in the community, you guys, it's not. It's not. It's distractions to me, really. I mean, I don't see a lot of it, don't hear about a lot of it unless I talk to people and hear it. And I'm like, okay, what? What's going on? Because I choose not to be distracted by it. I choose to focus more on my spirit and my growth and my journey. I think this year, more so than any other year, spirit has really put me in this mindset of, you got things to do. You got things that need to be accomplished, and it has nothing to do with other people, but it's a personal thing for me. They've called me out a lot as a priestess this year, more so than ever, and it wasn't even something that I even thought was going to happen. I mean, this year I've realized, my service to the community has been greater. It has been like, okay, you need to go there and do this to these people. You need to go there and help these people. This is what's opening for you. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you? And I haven't even confided in other people because they talk to me directly. And I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and do it. And I think the thing about it is that I'm open. I'm patient. I'm closed off with distractions because I'm trying to focus on where I'm supposed to go, what's going to make me be a better person, what's going to make me be a better mambo. I get so excited when I see people in a community that are they're hitting their stride and they're unapologetic about it. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing what spirit wants them to do, and it might not make sense to anybody else, but they're doing it, and I know that they're hearing it. I get it because you can tell by the walk that this is spirit led. And I think they're not allowing people to talk them out of things and feeling like they need to fit into this bubble. So when it comes to your practice, this is an individual thing. Be you, do you, grow into who you're supposed to be. You know, there's so much out there. There's so many different ways that you can go with this. And if you're not limited, why limit yourself? Why put yourself in the bubble? Why say I can't do this when you can? You know, I would just say with 2020, this is a year where I feel like we're purging. There's clarity that's coming in. A lot of us are disconnecting from people that we don't need to be connected to. You know, the energy doesn't work for us anymore. The environment, you know, even food for me is changing. And I know it's spirit led. So at this point, I don't really even care what other people say about it. It's just like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and walk. I'm going to walk and see where this takes me, where this growth leads me. And you know, I feel strongly that it's making me a better person. And I feel it. I don't need anybody else to tell me that. And it's crazy, right? But I feel like when you're walking in accordance with your path, things kind of just fall into place and you're happier. You're happier within yourself, you're happier within your environment, and you don't need somebody patting you on the back or patting you on the head because you know that spirit is guiding you and you're doing what you're supposed to do. And that's a beautiful feeling. So don't allow people to intimidate you guys. If you want to start a practice, start it. Spirituality is individual. If you're a solitary practitioner, you're a solitary practitioner. You don't want to be around other people, you don't like other people, don't do it. If you want to join a house and you feel like you need family and you feel like that's where spirit is leading you or guiding you, then you go ahead and do it. But connect with spirit, listen to them. Don't connect with the outside, especially when it comes to your growth. Don't look for Facebook or YouTube or Google to tell you who you are in spirit. Connect directly with them. They will show you, they will help you grow. All right, you guys, I hope this helps. I really do, because I don't want anybody to feel limited about what they can do or what they can practice or what they cannot practice. I will say, and I always say it, be respectful. If it's not your particular practice and it's something that you want to go into, connect with the right mentors, but be respectful to the practice. Don't go in there throwing everything in there in the kitchen sink and saying this is what we do when you know that's not what it is about. Be respectful. And I think if you do that, spirit is going to take you to the next level. No matter where you end up, they're going to take you to that next level. They're going to open doors. And how you know that you're growing is because they keep opening these doors. The path continues and you keep learning and you keep growing and you keep feeling like, you know, you're getting your what your purpose is what you're getting closer to. All right. So you guys, let me know. Let me know how you connected to this in the comments. I love you guys. Please be safe. Stay out the drama. You don't need to be in it. It's going to distract you. Walk your path. Stay in your lane. Do you. All that other stuff, any other stuff out there, spirit will take care of it. You don't even have to worry about it. Don't lose sleep about it. All right. They got you. Got your back. They always will. Always have. All right. Love you guys.